Oh, hello everybody, and a good afternoon to you all. Great to have you all with us here for another ACDC coaching calibration webinar. I'm Dave McQueen, one of the directors at GRIS, and I have the enormous pleasure of introducing you to Kate Golby, one of our amazing senior behavioural analysts. How are you feeling today, Kate? Excited to get into another coaching calibration webinar?
I am, yep, ready to get into it, Dave. How about you?
Yeah, exciting to have a new bunch of coaches with us, so can't wait to get into it. The aim of today's webinar is to start a process of calibration to help you learn how to assess your own coaching conversations better using GRIS ACDC coaching methodology. So to kick off, I'm going to give you a little bit of context for what you're about to experience, the what and the why, and then Kate's going to take you through how to assess the beginning of your coaching conversations. And then I'm going to come back a bit later and we'll talk to you about the next steps. So what's important to note is that today we have both coaches and observers attending. Now, primarily, this webinar is for all of you leaders who are using the ACDC coaching methodology to drive better outcomes in your businesses. So you have either recently joined as part of our GIST by GRIST online coaching program, and I can see that there's a number of you here, so welcome. Or because your team is working with the GRIS consultant to master ACDC within your organisation. Now, it doesn't matter whether you've come on your own or as part of a team, as today is the first ACDC calibration webinar of this series. And you're going to be able to join this webinar each month as part of your GIST by GRIS subscription or your coaching program. So for you guys, for the leaders, we aim to finish you up a little bit early, about 10 minutes before. We also have a group of observers. Now, unfortunately, this webinar isn't created for you specifically, but you've joined because you want to get a bit of a sneak peek and insight into how GRIS use calibration and self-assessment to help coaches unlock the potential of their people and drive better performance outcomes. So for the observers, we ask that you actually stick around for the last 10 minutes as well, so that we can discuss your thoughts and hear more about the options available to you should you want to know more. Okay, so let's talk about what we're here to do. We all accept that assessment is a critical part of our professional development, but the ability to self-assess your own performance is one of the most critical skills for leaders, especially as you continue to grow into more senior leadership roles. You know, the ACDC programs that you're doing right now leverage self-assessment as a powerful instrument for driving change. And the best way to become a great self-assessor is the process of calibration. Calibration helps you understand the nuances between good and great coaching behaviours and how to use them to be a better coach and improve your team's performance. Now, in the coming months, we're going to deep dive into the different ACDC behaviours to help you conduct accurate self-assessments and identify which of the ACDC coaching behaviours unlock the potential within your coaching conversations. And in just a few months, you'll be able to see and prove the strong link between the quality of your coaching and improving your business results. In fact, let me show you the impact that your coaching can have. In this study of 60 leaders that are kind of just like you trying to work at ACDC, they started working on the quality of their ACDC coaching skills. And they focused their coaching on the quality of the sales conversation skills of their teams. And you can see here how the quality of the sales conversations improved as their coaching skills improved. And then came the results. First, sales conversion started to take off. And then we started to see NPS start to lift. Now, we all know coaching works, but it's great to see the impact that you will have. I suppose the question is, well, what does your organisation or your team need you to focus your fabulous tactical coaching skills on? Will it be NPS or sales conversion like these coaches? Or if your team's not customer facing, then maybe your focus is on operational effectiveness measures or speed of implementation measures. It's really up to you in which direction you choose to point your coaching at, but whatever the direction, you'll be using the ACDC coaching model. As most of you will already know, ACDC is a tactical leadership conversation model And what that really means is that ACDC is a way to structure any leadership conversation that you have. And it starts with setting an agenda. Then understanding what's going on right now in the current state before exploring what the desired state is and how to get there. And lastly, finishing with a behavioural commitment. When the aim is to guide, shift, or improve the behaviours of people, ACDC will do the job well. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been asked to change your behaviour and not do it? I'm going to do it all the time. I either forget or I get distracted or other priorities creep in. There's always some kind of valid excuse why you don't actually do it. You see, coaching people to change their behaviour and then getting them to adopt the new behaviour takes some practice. Let's have a look at the agenda as an example. Sounds pretty easy, right? Set an agenda. But you have to set an agenda in a way that ensures that the person you're coaching has the buy-in and the commitment for the coaching conversation that you're about to have by providing the context and setting the scene. I mean, having the coachee understand why the coaching session is important for them to pursue their goal has to be the intent of the first phase of the coaching conversation. It's so much more than just stating a plain old boring agenda for the conversation. And it's these nuances that you need to kind of get to know over time. ACDC is soaked with the psychology of behavioural change, growth mindset, and goal orientation. And we've spent thousands of hours assessing great coaching conversations over the years and refined it down to 20 little behaviours that create the big moments in your coaching conversations. Each phase of the ACDC conversation is broken down into 5 small but important coaching behaviours. First, you engage and connect with your coachee before establishing the main focus of your coaching session. Next is to show how today's coaching session fits into a bigger goal for your coachee or your organisation. Then you set a simple but multi-step agenda before gaining buy-in as a way of confirming that your coachee sees the importance of the conversation. If we look at the data from the last 700 ACDC conversations that we've assessed, it shows that those coaches that provide a clear agenda at the beginning of their coaching conversation were much more likely to identify the behaviours required to reach a new desired state. And they were 30% more likely to achieve clear behavioural commitments from their coachees. So I guess that starting well certainly correlates to finishing well. Now, before I hand over to Kate, let's take a look at your role today. It's important that any of you who are actually doing or have done the ACDC coaching program here actually participates. And so what we're asking you to do is easy. If you move your mouse to the top of the screen until you see the navigation, just pop on the navigation bar there and use view options, and a drop-down box comes and you'll see the annotate. So when you do the annotate, just choose a simple, and you'll be able to actually make your mark on the screen. So let's just test that it's all working for you. So if you would, can I get you to put your symbol in the green box here to let us know it's working? Oh yeah, in the green box, if you would. In the green. Oh, just messing with you. Moving the green box around, but it's great to see that it's working. So thanks very much for doing that. And don't forget to use the chat function, that if you have any questions, so pop them in, and we have Jay Cherie from our analytics team here to help any questions that you actually have. And if we can't answer them in the chat right here, right now, we'll come back to you after this session and help you out there. So today is all about finding our coaching compass. I mean, have any of you had coaching sessions that don't stay on track? Or maybe they're sessions that go on for too long, or even worse, that don't finish up with clear outcomes at all. Look, it's important to get our bearings right from the beginning of our coaching conversation. And Kate is going to guide you through how you can start to assess yourself about what's good and what's not so good in your own conversations. So Kate, help us understand the start of a coaching conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks, Dave. Let's go. All right. So As Dave mentioned, I'll be taking you through a real deep dive into those 5 behaviours that he just took us through in the agenda phase. And throughout that, I'll go through, why these behaviours are, contributing to making an effective and engaging coaching session, their impact on both team members and coaches, and also their impact of the impact of not doing them and how that can really derail a session. So I'll also have some audio examples throughout to give you an idea of how it can sound as its sort of, I guess, best practice. But also at some of them, I've got an example there of how it might sound now and what we need to tweak to get it to great. Now, audio has a tendency to be a little bit variable depending on the computer or phone that you're joining us with. So just keep your finger near the volume switch because I don't want to ruin anyone's eardrums today. Okay, let's get going. So our first behaviour for today is the engage behaviour. Then here we're looking at a coach really seeking to engage with a team member. And we want a warm two-way interaction here. So this helps put team members at ease up front and it makes them comfortable. Also sets the scene for a conversational two-way session. So coaching sessions run best and most effectively when both parties are contributing. And engagement can come, at any point in this agenda phase that we're taking you through, but typically we tend to see it at the beginning. It's a real natural way of beginning a session. Now, the impact of not engaging early in a conversation is when team members don't feel comfortable, they're less likely to want to openly share and buy into the whole coaching process. So let's listen to an example here of a really good, clear engage.
Hey, Simon, I know you took some sick leave earlier in the week. How are you feeling now?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Mel. I was really fluey, kind of out of nowhere, but definitely back in fighting form now.
Oh, that's great news. Nothing worse than a blocked nose and sinuses.
Yeah.
There we go. Just a nice, relaxed two-way interaction. So a good way to approach it might be to chat to your team member like you're in the lunchroom, just grabbing a coffee, having some lunch, rather than approaching it being, the beginning of a coaching session and something you need to tick off. We just want it to be a familiar, friendly little chit chat. Let's listen to another example.
Welcome. Take a seat and happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
How was your weekend? Did you end up watching that movie? What was it?
Oh, yeah, I did. Love Actually.
Oh, that's it. How was it?
Such a classic. I love it.
So is that, perfect water cooler conversation, I know so many of us aren't in the office as much as we used to be. I've been at home for 18 months now, so we're not having those little incidental sort of meetups that we always used to, just bumping into people around the office. But we still have that really close relationship with our team, whether we're speaking on the phone regularly, joining Zooms, and we're still having those little conversations just in a slightly different way. So it's just about reflecting that in the start of the coaching session and making the team member feel comfortable.
Kate, so often we hear things like, how are you, or how's your day going at the start? I mean, are we looking for something a bit more than that?
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit more than just, pleasantries. So actually your engagement at the beginning of this session was what I would consider best practice, Dave. So you really nailed it. We just had, we had a good little two-way interaction there. It was friendly, built a nice rapport and what I felt at ease. So well done.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Let's move on to our next behaviour. We've got focus up next, and that's stating a clear focus or purpose for the coaching session. Now, this will keep the process of the session transparent to the team member. And it also provides the team member with clarity around that focus for the session and gives a little bit of direction to the session. So we're looking for a focus to be a particular phase or topic or capability or behaviour. And 2 focuses would be the maximum that we'd want to hear, but really just 1 would be the best. A short, sharp coaching sessions are more effective in really just driving rapid improvement. So the impact of not stating a focus for the session is that when a team member is unclear and potentially uncomfortable, conversations are easily derailed and put off track. So that results in lengthy, ineffective sessions. By clearly stating that focus, both parties can just get on the same page about the session and the reason for the coaching. I've got here a great example of how that can be done really quickly and effectively. So let's have a listen.
So I've had a look at your results, Lisa.
Uh-oh, here we go.
No, not at all. You've been doing really well. But today I specifically wanted to look into some of the rejected or return applications that you put through and see if we can work out wherein lies the problem.
Oh, yeah, that would actually be really handy.
So here we just heard the coach clearly state what they wanted to focus on, that rejected or returned applications. Short and sharp. Here's an example of, possibly where your focus is at the moment, or one that just needs a little bit of work to get it to that best practice. Let's have a listen to this.
Glad I was able to catch you, Tim. I really want to have a chat and just discuss how you've been going on the phones in the past week.
Oh, yep, sure.
Yeah, so it's just, it's all a little bit vague. Okay.
So Kate, is saying something like, let's focus on a micro behaviour good enough, or does it need to be more specific than that?
Yeah, look, we really want to know which micro behaviour. We just need to, focus in the purpose that the coach wants to look at for this session. So something like, last week we worked on warmly greeting customers, and today I want to shift that focus to maybe a strong statement of assistance. It just really straight away gives that team member a real insight. Okay, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, sounds important.
Right, let's move on to our overarching goal. Now, overarching goal is linking that current coaching session that they're conducting with a wider overarching goal or a previous session. Now, this helps the team member to understand how this session fits into wider goals, either at a personal level or maybe even team or organisational level. And also provides a sense of importance to the session and gives it real meaning. So it's not just a coach, meeting KPIs, doing coaching for the sake of coaching. Overarching goals really provide context and direction, and a coach and a team member working together to advance and to improve. So when a personalised overarching goal is linked to, it provides the team member with a feeling that the coach really sort of cares and it validates the worth and effort that the team member's putting in, and it'll increase the buy-in to the session as well. The impact of not doing this is just a lack of understanding as to where they fit in and why coaching and improvement is important. This in turn can decrease motivation of the team member and decrease drive. Let's have a listen to a really good example.
So we're moving on to something a little bit different than last session that we had together. Why do you think I want to focus on this phase of the model today?
I guess the close is like the lasting impression that you leave on the customer, like what they leave with,
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that'll really help us reach our team goal of getting 90% on our end of call satisfaction surveys, won't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that.
So, question here, Kate, is it more in this behaviour that when you're assessing it, that you probably don't hear it versus that it doesn't happen like correctly?
Yeah, spot on. This is probably the most common behaviour in the agenda phase that's simply overlooked. It's not that we're not hearing it done almost right, it's really that it's just not happening at all. And it's important to note with all of these examples that I'm playing, they are actual examples that we've heard, and all we've done is re-recorded them with our own voices. So they are real in the field examples, if you like. So it just shows how easy it is to incorporate into your conversations.
Great.
All right, our next behaviour is the phase's namesake behaviour, the agenda. So here we want to see a coach clearly mapping out key steps required to achieve a purpose or focus. And this lets the team member know what they can expect from the session and how it's likely to run. And it demonstrates forward planning by the coach, that they've really thought about the team member's development in advance, and that they place value in preparing for an effective coaching session. That agenda sets up a scenario where the team member understands the process and feels ready to contribute at each of the points. Here we're looking at a minimum of a 2-step in that agenda, so 2 or more steps. And the impact of not setting an agenda is just that lack of transparency. So it may lead to a team member feeling confused or worried or unsure towards the session because they don't really know what to expect. So to switch it up a little bit, what I've got here is an example of an agenda that's not quite meeting the mark as far as we're concerned. So let's have a listen to how that would sound.
All right, yeah, cool. So we'll definitely have a chat about that, work out where to go from here, yeah?
Sure.
And you can hear from the tone in that team member there, he's just like, okay, there's not that intent of the behaviour hasn't been satisfied because the team member still just doesn't know what's going on. It's not clear enough. There's really only one vague step in there. Verbally setting out that conversation agenda is actually also really beneficial for a coach. It really helps to organise the process into clear sequential steps, even in their own mind. And it can stop them, jumping back and forth between subjects and phases. It makes that communication with their team member a lot clearer and puts them in control of the session. So let's listen to how a good example would sound.
Okay, so just as a bit of a rundown, we'll chat about how you introduce process now and then discuss potentially how to improve that with some minor tweaks. And then we might even give it a go over a few times and practice it together.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
So there you go. I mean, it really didn't even take that coach much longer to do that. But here we've got just a clear 3-step agenda. Have a chat about how you introduce process, discuss potentially how to improve, have a practice. Bam, bam, bam. The team members got real transparency into what's going to happen.
That's good.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to rope you in. Do you want to have a go at giving the agenda?
Put me on the spot. Okay, so something like, hey, let's have a look at the very beginning of the conversation that you just had. What we'll do is we'll have a look at what worked well and what could have gone better. And in the end, we'll come up with a bit of a plan about the best way to move forward. Does something like that work, Kate?
Perfect. 3 steps, easy to understand, short and sharp. Really good.
Right.
All right. And
let me know if you're going to throw any more.
You've been our star pupil so far, so I trust that you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at our last behaviour for the agenda phase, and that's the buy-in. So this isn't, although it says, buy into the agenda, this isn't specifically a buy into the agenda behaviour that we just went through. It's the agenda phase as a whole. So we're looking at asking the team members' input or to confirm satisfaction with the focus or the agenda. So this actively encourages the team member to provide some input into what's going to happen, but also encourages their buy-in. So I couldn't say it better than that. Now, not seeking buy-in doesn't make the team member feel involved. It becomes more of a coach directive conversation, and the team member just plays, a passive role, and it's really not setting a precedence for, collaboration throughout. Well, we sort of discussed right through all of these behaviours that two-way interaction, that collaboration is really how improvement's nurtured, and that's really what we want to see happen. So you could also run into problems, downstream in your session if that buy-in isn't sought. A team member may not have understood, or may not even be on board with the plan for the session, and that results in a lack of involvement in the following phases. Once a team member buys in, they're much more likely to participate and share, and that's what's going to drive improvement. Let's have a little bit of a listen to how that buy-in might sound. The first example we've got here is that invitation for the team member to input into the agenda. So let's have a listen here.
Does that sound all good to you? Is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, it's like really straightforward, so ready to go.
Easy, nice and simple. And this one here is more of a seeking confirmation with the agenda thus far and the purpose.
Does that approach sound okay to you?
Yeah, I'm loving that game plan. Let's go.
Okay, and either of those two, or a combination, both of those, we will be awarded as a yes. What we don't really want to see here is a coach trying to tie up the phase but not seeking that buy-in or that confirmation. Something like, well, that's my plan, let's get going, doesn't give that team member the opportunity to become involved. All right, so there are 5 agenda behaviours. We've gone through quite a bit of detail here, and you've probably got a bit of an idea about which ones you're already doing, and also which ones, possibly missing from your coaching sessions at the moment. So what I want you to do is grab our annotation tool that Dave took us through before. And what I want to do is just get a bit of an idea of where you think your strengths or your opportunities lie. So grab the little star or your tick and just pop either side of those 5 behaviours. Do you think it's a strength for yourself or an opportunity? How would you rate your current performance in these behaviours? Wow, okay. Look at that. Wow, annotation mania. All right, looks like overarching goal seems to be fairly high on the opportunity side. We all think we're great at engaging. Fantastic. That's good.
It's a mix of strengths though, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's really good. All right, thanks guys. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I want to, I guess, see where your strengths and opportunities lie in practice. So I think it's time to put those skills to the test. Dave, how do you feel about doing a bit of a calibration on the whole phase?
Fantastic. Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So the 5 behaviours are there. All I want you to do is, if you've got a pen and paper on your desk sitting next to you, or just a Word document, all I want you to do is I'm going to play an audio clip and just put a tick or a cross next to those 5 behaviours as we go through. And then we're going to discuss it afterwards and have a listen again. So just, did you hear it or didn't you?
All right, so let's get started. How have you been, Amanda?
Yeah, good. I started the day off with a run on the beach and then came home and ate chocolate for breakfast. So, it started off well. Yeah. So we had some running, had some chocolate. It's all about balance, isn't it? That's right.
Yeah, I wish I could start my day off running on the beach. That sounds really nice.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. All right, so we'll kick into it. I know you've been working on closing your conversations in a positive way, and this is just to reinforce the amazing experience that you've been giving. So with that skill, we can confirm our members are satisfied and hopefully increase our NPS, which is our industry award, as you know, and that's what's trying to set us apart from our competitors. So we'll have a look at a couple of current calls that I listened to this morning, and we'll see how you're going. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that sounds really good to me.
Yeah, awesome.
Great. Now, I saw we had some very keen coaches and they preempted my question. All right, let's grab that annotation tool again. What did you hear? I want to see it. Wow, lots of engaged. Good. Okay. Wow, I've got a real spread. Fantastic.
Interesting.
Awesome.
All behaviours present, Kate.
Wow. Guess someone's going to be disappointed. It's all right. I'm going to give you a second chance. So excellent. All right. Thanks. Let me clear that up. And we're going to go through, listen to it again. And as we listen through, I'm going to highlight the text and then I'm going to pop up the behaviours as they occur. So let's have another listen, see how you went.
All right, so let's get started. How have you been, Amanda?
Yeah, good. I started the day off with a run on the beach and then came home and ate chocolate for breakfast. So, it started off well.
yeah. So we had some running, had some chocolate. It's all about balance, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, I wish I could start my day off running on the beach. That sounds really nice.
It is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I bet. All right, so we'll kick into it. I know you've been working on closing your conversations in a positive way, and this is just to reinforce the amazing experience that you've been giving. So with that skill, we can confirm our members are satisfied and hopefully increase our NPS, which is our industry award, as you know, and that's what's trying to set us apart from our competitors. So we'll have a look at a couple of current calls that I listened to this morning, and we'll see how you're going. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, that sounds really good to me.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
All right. So
Kate,
agenda, yeah.
you said the agenda. Why wouldn't you assess the agenda as quite cutting it here?
Yeah, so really there was only one clear step there. We'll have a look at a couple of calls and see how you're going. It's really just one step. What we'd want to hear here is then, some talk about what they will do to work on it, maybe some practice, and then, possibly adding in a third step and then we can set a goal for how to improve, something like that.
Yeah, putting in that goal at the last step really starts to put the coach's mind that there is going to be an action required, something to move forward with, right?
Exactly. Yeah. A purpose to the session. Absolutely. All right. So I think we did pretty well, guys.
Yeah.
How about we give it another go?
Sounds good.
Cool. Same. So try and hold off the annotation tool until we've listened to the first one so you don't give anyone the answers. Here we go.
Hey, Jeremy, how you going?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Stace?
Doing well. How have you felt today?
Yeah, I've been a bit busy, but yeah, a lot of good conversations as well, so that's good.
Oh, that's really good to hear. So just to give you a bit of an idea about what we're going to do with these coaching sessions, we're just going to spend the next 15 minutes or so having a chat about a micro behaviour. We're going to do a bit of skills practice, and then after you've had a bit of practice with me, you're going to get back out there on the floor for the remainder of the afternoon and test it out on our members. So how does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Oh, great. So, Jeremy, how do you feel working on the micro behaviours really connect to what that is trying to achieve?
Ooh, well, I guess is trying to grow and obviously try and get more funds under management and become the top super fund. And so for us, like the micro behaviours, I guess, let us have better conversations with people to give the best outcome, which I guess kind of hopefully leads to that sort of growth.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, have at it, guys. Get that annotation tool out and tell me what you heard. Okay, great. It looks like we have a little bit more maybe consistency and calibration here. It looks like focus is the lonely guy with only a few little ticks. So that's all right. Cool. Well, let's have another listen and see how we went.
Hey, Jeremy, how you going?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Stace?
Doing well. How have you felt today?
Yeah, I've been a bit busy, but yeah, a lot of good conversations as well, so that's good.
Oh, that's really good to hear. So just to give you a bit of an idea about what we're going to do with these coaching sessions, we're just going to spend the next 15 minutes or so having a chat about a micro behaviour. We're going to do a bit of skills practice, and then after you've had a bit of practice with me, you're going to get back out there on the floor for the remainder of the afternoon and test it out on our members. So how does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Oh, great. So, Jeremy, how do you feel working on the micro behaviours really connect to what Bert is trying to achieve?
Well, I guess is trying to grow and obviously try and get more funds under management and become the top super fund. And so for us, like the micro behaviours, I guess, let us have better conversations with people to give the best outcome, which I guess kind of hopefully leads to that sort of growth.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It was a bit easy to spot that time, wasn't it? I think. But, Kate, tell me, why is it though that you wouldn't assess focus as a yes here?
Yeah, so I gave you a little hint with this one. It was actually an example that we heard when we were going through the behaviour. So that use of just the generic term of micro behaviour is just a bit too vague. We want to hear which micro behaviour that they want to focus on.
Got it.
All right, that was great work, guys. Really good.
Hey, Jeremy.
Sorry, accidentally. All right, so look, those behaviours seem pretty straightforward, right? It seems really clear to, how adding them into the beginning of your coaching session can just really help get the bearings and, set the coaching compass for a structured, engaging, efficient interaction. That strong relationship between setting an agenda and team members getting really clear behavioural commitments in there will really set you on the path to that rapid improvement. All right, well, let's see how often those supposedly straightforward behaviours, that are highly effective are actually done. Here we have over 500 baseline coaching conversations that we've assessed. And it shows that here that although some coaches are doing that agenda phase really well already, for the most part, overall, it's not happening very often at all.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, if you have a look at that, you're talking, on average, 35, 33% of the time these behaviours are occurring. So it's a third of all your coaching sessions that are happening out there in the marketplace only setting it up really, really good beginning. I mean, what's the opportunity cost of that? That's 2/3 of coaching conversations that aren't going, hey, here's what we're going to do, here's why it's important, and here's how we're going to have this conversation. You can these behaviours are pretty simple in order to start to score this up, but it's stuff that we see a lot. But you just imagine that the cost in your business of not being able to implement an initiative because leaders aren't setting up their coaching sessions well. It's kind of damning data.
And I mean, you could see straight away from that how so many coaches just, lose their compass, lose their bearings as to how to move through those following phases simply because they haven't set their session up well.
Yeah, I had a client.
So how do we?
Sorry,
go for it.
I had a client that not that long ago where that overarching goal was close to zero through the setup, and what was interesting, the feedback that we got from the coachees was that coaching was occurring in the organisation because it was a KPI that leaders had to do. It wasn't. They didn't feel it was directed to them at all. It was just something that the coaches had to do, so they were attending their coaching sessions, and it was purely as a result of having overarching goal down at the zero.
Yeah,
so
really there's not that transparency. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, so well, how do we improve it? How do we get on the right course? How do we move from improving our knowledge, which we've kind of gone through here, we've gone through all those behaviors. How do we create habits? It's pretty much practice. We have to consistently, regularly practice a behavior to take it from okay to great. So I guess the best thing to do at this point is to set ourselves a goal and get ourselves on that path to, creating some real positive change.
Good idea.
All right, so now, guys, if you're already set up on the gist you can pop your goals straight into that platform, but otherwise for everybody else, grab your pen and paper that you were using before or your Word document, just somewhere you can jot down your goals. So we've launched a poll here. What I want you to do is select one of our 5 behaviours in the agenda phase. What's going to make the biggest impact to your session? What do you want to focus on? Now, as I've said before, look, you can set more than one goal, but really focusing on one small change at a time is how you're going to get that real good habit entrenched and make it automatic almost.
Just makes it easy focusing on one at a time, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Smaller goals more often is much more effective.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a few goals in there. Anyone else want to set themselves a goal? Okay, all right, let's have a look at what people want to focus on. Okay, it looks like overarching goal is, like we saw when we were talking about, where our opportunities lie earlier on before we did our calibration, that looks like something that, is missing and that we really want to work on. We've got a few that want to improve their engagement, some their focus and purpose for the session. Agenda and buy-in are in there as well. So we've got a real spread, but overarching goal seems to be the favourite at the moment.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Now we've had a look at our behaviour. So let's set the other parameters for our goal setting. So what I want you to do next is estimate how many times you do this behaviour and how often you'll practice it. So are you going to practice it, so many times in the next hour or day or week? Are you going to engage with your team member at least 3 times tomorrow? Or are you going to set your overarching goal in 60% of your sessions next week? Set those parameters in there. Okay, once you've got that down, the next step in the goal setting is to just write down how you'll measure it, how you'll keep yourself accountable, how you'll check that you've done it and the impact that it's had. Are you going to use just a sticky note on the corner of your computer where you can tick off each time that you've done it and refer back to it nice and easily? Or, the back of your notebook, or just whatever works best for you. What's going to make it easiest for you? We want the goal setting to be, really the time to spend just on working on improving the behaviour, not all of the other bits and pieces. We don't want to make that a chore. And finally, I want you to rate your confidence on a scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you that you can achieve this goal? So 10 being, I've got this in the bag, no worries, fine. And 1 being, it's probably unlikely to happen, to be honest. If you've put down a number of 7 or lower, I would suggest revisiting that frequency and the time frames that you've set for yourself, and making them a little smaller and possibly extending those timeframes out, because we really want to set achievable goals. And even if it's setting it a simpler goal this time, and then if you achieve it, making it maybe a little bit more difficult the next time. Oops, sorry. All right, well, congratulations. You've all set yourselves a goal, I hope. And you're on the way to improving your agenda phase. So at this point, I'd really like to thank all of our coaches for participating in this agenda deep dive. Your feedback and your participation in all of the little calibrations that we've had has been really fantastic. Thank you. And I hope you're leaving with some really new, clear and new insights into the behaviours, and also that you've got a clear goal for yourself that you can work on. And we have a few more of these deep dives into the ACDC phases coming up. We've got a current state one, which is looking at finding team members' baseline. We've got a desired state, which is working on the practice and how to improve behaviours. Then we move on to the commitment, which is getting team members to, walk the talk and set some goals. As we've talked about, that's so important into driving improvement. And then we move on to the delivery skills, like how to instill a great rapport with your team. And then we'll move on to some more, specific problem points that you've probably likely experienced as a coach. And we'll delve into a combination of behaviours from different phases. Everyone who attends today will get automatic invitations to our future webinars. So it's nice and easy for you to know when they're coming up. And for our observers who aren't already using the GIST or the ACDC model, stick with us. Dave's going to take us through the whole platform and the offer of everything that we can offer at GIST here. So take it away, Dave.
Terrific. Thanks very much, coaches. We will see you next time. But for those who had the sneak peek and you want to stick around, how good was that? It was just having leaders that can translate performance into behaviours that are really easy to put in place is so important for implementing any type of change. And whether that's changes to the customer conversation or changes to driving organisational change, the conversations that your leaders have with their teams can either make or break the implementation of your initiatives. So over the next few minutes, what we want to do is we want to show you the ACDC coaching program on the GIST by GIST platform that both Kate and I have been referring to over the past 40 minutes or so. We believe it's the shortest and most effective coaching upskilling program online. And to be true to the platform's name, I'm just going to give you the gist of what it is that you need to know. So let me put the screen on and take you through a few things. Right. So the process for becoming a great ACDC coach is pretty simple. First, you've got to learn it. You've got to learn the model. Then you've got to practice it. And then you've got to get some feedback to see how you're going. And so, the way that this platform has been designed is just that. You'll say you learn the model, you apply your skill, and then you've got your dashboard to be able to get your feedback. So nice and simple. When we asked leaders about what they wanted from their online learning, by far the most common response was just tell me what I need, what I have to know. Just tell me what I need to know. That's it. So what we've done is we've created 32 2-minute videos that give leaders just the gist of what they need to know about coaching. So let me show you one in just a second that I reckon that you'll recognise after today's webinar. Just so you know, it's always a bit tricky to stream live video over Zoom, so syncing might be slightly out, but let's see how we go.
Hey there, we're back again. So we've given you a broad overview of the ACDC model for better coaching conversations. Now let's take a look in a bit more detail. So, Shane, what's the first step in the process?
A?
That's right, A, which stands for agenda.
Right, agenda.
And how do we actually set the agenda?
How do we set the agenda? Yeah, well, you actually, why don't you run through it? You're doing pretty well.
Yep, no worries. Well, setting the agenda is all about establishing why you're having the conversation. And like all of the steps, it's made up of 5 behaviours.
5 behaviours. Yes. Oh no, you keep going. You're doing good.
Okay. First, we engage with the person we're coaching to build rapport and help them relax. Next is focus, which is just stating why you're having the coaching conversation. Then comes overarching goal, where you show how this conversation links to a bigger quarterly type goal or previous coaching session. This leads to agenda, where you map out what the conversation will cover to achieve the focus. And the final step is buy-in, where you make sure the person understands why this coaching session is important and how it's going to benefit them. Make sense?
Yep. Engage, focus, overarching. Yep. No, it all makes total sense. I mean, except the how to do it bit.
Oh, no worries. You're not meant to know how to do it just yet. What we're going to do now is look at each of those behaviours one by one and talk about the how to do it bit. Sound good?
Yeah. Sounds like an agenda.
Ah, I see what you did there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. See you soon.
It is agenda, isn't it?
Yes.
I've said it too many times, but never gets old. Hey, you may recognise the big fella there, Shane Jacobson. And we've engaged some of Australia's best storytellers to engage your leaders in the ACDC model, to pull them into their learning journey. And they're fantastic. You know, leaders want to be engaged and they want to enjoy their learning. And what we don't want is we don't want leaders to just click to complete their e-learning module. So engaging people like Shane and Stephen really start to draw people in. And the videos are supported by activities, and our completion rates and engagement rates are amazing. And we got people just wanting to watch them all the way through, which is just terrific. And they go back multiple times. But in any GRIST program, it's not good enough just to complete the videos, just to complete the learning. You have to show evidence of on-the-job application to graduate. And here is where we start to turn this learning into on-the-job doing. So coaches actually take the GIST by GRIST platform into their coaching sessions. So on any device, their mobile, their tablets, their laptops, all they need to do is they need to log into the system, and they put the device on the same table as they're having their real life coaching conversation. And all they do is push record. It's immediate on the job application. They test their learning in the moment. And then after each coaching session, what they do is they either can assess their own coaching conversation, just like you did here, like engage, yes, no, focus, yes, no, and they engage their own conversation, or they can download it later for assessment at another time. Yep. And that's not even the best bit. The best bit is after each coaching session that they assess, it's tracked over time. And the dashboard highlights which behaviors they do consistently and which ones need some focus. It creates a personalized embedding journey, as no two coaches' graphs end up being the same. And by clicking only on the behaviors that they need to focus on, so like for this coach, you know, practice, for example, what that does, it takes them back to the practice video. They end up saving hours in learning time and significantly improve their speed to competence. So the GIST by GRIST can do much more, but I promise just to give you the gist of it. So let me just summarize it all here for you. With a 12-month subscription to the ACDC coaching program, what you receive is 27 ACDC coaching behavior videos and activities. Yep. You receive on-the-job self-assessment module where they can just do it in the moment or do it a little bit later. They receive 4 more best practice phase recordings like what we were showing you before, and there's 4 more calibration recordings like Kate just took you through. There's a goal setting module that allows leaders to set micro-behavioral goals around coaching and track them. And there's a reporting dashboard to help you track your progress and tailor your own embedding pathway. You get access to these webinars. There's 10 of those that happen every single year. And we're also going to give you 5 extra delivery skills behaviors, which ended up being around the art of the conversation, around pace and calibration, how to be a bit more conversational during the conversation. And so, and the last bit, we also actually give you an implementation consulting session where you, where we actually talk to you about how you can go about implementing it. So there's a heap of value here that you get by subscribing to the GIST by GRIST. I suppose the question is how much, and you get all of this for each person for $1,250 per person for the full 12 months for the whole year. So if you'd like to know more information or have a more in-depth conversation or look at ACDC on the GIST, let me know in the chat field now, or I'll pop my contact details on the screen in just a second. But that's it. So thank you so much for sticking around and having a sneak peek into how GRIST are using self-assessment and calibration to help leaders become great coaches. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and I look forward to talking to many of you again soon. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, bye.
Thanks. Bye.